Good evening and welcome back to the Rory Talks Football YouTube channel. Welcome back to the Arsenal newsroom. It is a Monday. We are live. I filmed a podcast today. Link to that is down in the description. That is going to be live basically straight after this. So you can roll from this into the podcast with Seb and Seb and Tobes talking about the weekend's games. We've got a lot to talk about. Some stuff I didn't think we'd be talking about, some Ecuadorian twins. Other stuff, the Chelsea game, we'll be talking about that. The Brentford game coming up. It's 2 games every 3 days. So there's lots to talk about. There's loads of you here. If you could like and subscribe, we're on the way to 27,000 subscribers. I would be very grateful. And welcome. Shayan is here. Saka is God. Rian, Vivi, Vlad, Auki, Manny, Hyper. Welcome. Ryan Henderson is here as well. Brandon, first time able to see live. You love to see it. Welcome, Brandon. Trying to sack Tobes. No, I'm just so used to saying Seb and Ben at the same time. You have to get used to not saying Seb and Ben. Ross Lawman, Mr. VAR is here as well. You love to see it. But look, it's an interesting one today. You know, I think the result yesterday, it was just, I don't know, it was weird. It was like, we didn't deserve to win the game. Like, I couldn't be mad that we didn't win the game, but you do feel disappointed in the fact that the performance wasn't there. If the performance had been there and we'd been knocking on the door and we'd drawn, I'd have been okay with it. I don't know. It's a weird feeling because ultimately I feel like that draw is not too bad in the grand scheme of things. But I think just because of the red card, playing against 10 men for an hour, it's a weird one. Was Chalobah's goal offside or what? Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about that today. So apparently, well, according to Dale Johnson, who now works for the BBC, he used to work for ESPN, and he is 100% in contact with the PGMOL and VAR and stuff. He gets stuff from them. According to him, Enzo was offside when Chalobah headed it. And the VAR decided that Enzo had no impact on the goal. Now, for me, I think that you've got to raise questions there. Colton Conroy, thank you very, very much for the $2. Platoon roll call. Yeah, who's here? The Goon Platoon. Thank you very much for the $2, Colton. So, for me, if he was offside and they determined he was offside, I think he is definitely impacting the play. Because Mosquera is literally marking him, and Mosquera gets sucked underneath the ball, marking Enzo, instead of heading it away. Mosquera doesn't even get off the ground. So I'm like, he was absolutely... If Enzo's not there, Mosquera doesn't move forward with Enzo, and he heads the ball away. I don't understand how you can argue that he's not had an impact there. And Enzo tries to head the ball himself as well. So... on that, I think it's offside. That said, we didn't deserve to win the game. And I actually, if I'm consistent, I don't want goals like that ruled out. And I said that with the Van Dijk one, said it with the Eze one. I don't want goals like that ruled out. But technically, yeah, I think it was offside. It's funny how any other team than Arsenal can celebrate hard-fought draws. Yeah, but I think, in fairness, I do think because we played against 10 men for over an hour or just under an hour, there is a different spin on it. I think if it had been 11v11 and we'd come away with the draw, I think people would probably have said that was a well-earned point. But I think because we were up against 10 men, it's fair. No one was claiming offside, in fairness, not a big deal. That's the other thing, right? I watched replay after replay without clocking that Enzo was offside. So it's not like a clear offside, you know? Thoughts on Skelly's recent form? Yeah, look, I think Mars Lewis Skelly is not at his best at the moment. I think that's I think it is fair to say. He comes on at halftime yesterday because Calafiori's on a booking and he gets himself booked within 8 minutes. He doesn't look as comfortable on the ball. He doesn't look as confident or clinical in his actions. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know if it's a rustiness thing from not playing as much, but it is slightly concerning. I would say it is slightly concerning because we're at the point where I no longer want to bring Miles Lewis Skelly on in games, and that's a shame, to be quite honest with you. The thing for me, If we were knocking on the door and failed to win, I would have felt more like a missed. It would have felt more like a missed opportunity and 2 points dropped. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like, look, the way that the game went when we were 11v11, they were the better team. Like, there's no way around it. They were really causing problems for us, and they did create a couple of big chances. I thought Esteval should have scored. Like, I've seen that replay a few times now. That one that drops to Esteval inside the box and he blazes it into Rosette. It's actually a really good chance. We struggled. We did struggle. So, and there are various reasons for that, I think. And so in that context, look, the reality is you just cannot be at your best game in, game out. And at the end of a week like that, I can understand the team being knackered. I can understand the fatigue, and it's the sort of, and because Chelsea was so up for it as well, the contrast between how up for it they were, arguably too up for it. Like, I genuinely think they got a bit too emotional at times. And you saw that with the Caicedo red card. But I'd have liked to see a bit more of that from Arsenal. I think we emptied the tank against Bayern Munich. And that's another conversation. Was that the sensible thing to do? I look back at Declan Rice's performance against Bayern. I actually still thought Declan Rice was arguably our best player yesterday, which says a lot. But I think he emptied the tank against Bayern. And you can't empty the tank in the North London derby and then empty the tank against Bayern and then still have anything left to go against Chelsea. So for that to have been worth it, for that win against Bayern and emptying the tank against them to have been worth it, we have to now rotate in the other Champions League games because we got that 3 points and we can afford to, and allow ourselves to rotate in the Champions League and go strong in the Premier League games that follow each of the next Champions League games. Otherwise, I don't really see how it was worth it. Look, it was a brilliant night in midweek against Bayern, and I loved watching us beat Bayern like that. But those 3 points, to me, are less valuable than 3 points would have been against Chelsea yesterday. So it's an interesting one, I actually don't rate Esteval. What do you think? No, I rate him. I think put yourself in their shoes, right? Or put Esteval in our shoes. If we had an 18-year-old, and we did have an 18-year-old in Waneri doing it last season. If we had an 18-year-old coming through like that, scoring a great goal against Barcelona in the Champions League, like, you're not going to expect an 18-year-old to consistently be taking those chances and consistently be performing at that level. But I think I've been impressed with him. Even in the first half yesterday, I thought he probably looked like the brightest attacking player that they had. So to be doing that at 18 against Arsenal, I do think it's impressive. Psychological, mental, and physical tiredness do have an impact based upon recovery time. Oh, 100%. 100%. And you're right, it's not just physical, it is mental as well. Getting yourself up for that, you really get yourself up for the North London derby, and then you have an adrenaline dump. And then you really get yourself up for the Bayern game, and then you have an adrenaline dump. To really get yourself up for the Chelsea game again, it's tough. Like, it is tough. And there were other things, in terms of, obviously, we've got injuries, losing Saliba. We must have lost Saliba in the very final training session before the game, which means we literally had zero time to prepare for a centre-back pairing that have only played with each other once before. So, look, there was a number of things that impacted the game. And ultimately, if you take all of the red card and everything out of it, I think if you had told me we're going to take 7 points from Spurs, Bayern, and Chelsea, I'd have gone, yeah, I'll take that. So it's one where I think we just have to, we've just got to forget about it and move on, And I think it speaks volumes anyway. The fact that we turned up and played that badly and still, it was against 10 men, but still came away with a draw. Like, Chelsea fans are absolutely buzzing. They're annoyed because they think they could have won, but they're buzzing with the performance. I'm like, I've seen Arsenal teams that have done that in the past. So you're able to get up for the big games. Let's see you do it week in, week out. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at on the Chelsea game. Saka spun Cucurella. Yeah, I couldn't believe. That's the one thing that a lot of the Chelsea fans have just not accepted, was that Saka had Cucurella on strings. And he did. Cucurella fouled Saka 4 times. He got booked. After he'd been booked, he had to stand off Saka more, which meant for our goal, He's standing off Saka allows him to get the cross in. There were a number of moments where Saka was able to pin him and then spin him. And I don't think Cucurella won the ball off him once all game. So, and he also did nothing going forward. So, yeah, I was surprised by that. But the amount of times Rice had to drop back and help Hincapié and Mosquera was a definite hindrance to the attack. Hincapié was a bit of a he was a bit basically what Hincapié, and this is where I felt like losing Saliba meant you lost that guy that's used to being in the back two for Arsenal. So when Mosquera comes in and he's alongside Saliba or alongside Gabriel, Saliba or Gabriel is the leader. Same with Hincapié. The problem when they both come in is who's leading the back line? Neither of them, meaning they're both independently making decisions. And Hincapié was jumping a lot. So Hincapié was charging out of the back line, chasing someone into midfield repeatedly and leaving a space behind him. And Enzo had a run in behind where he received the ball doing that. Gusto had a run in behind where he received the ball doing that. And so I think, yeah, look, that is a centre-back partnership that will develop. You know, it's to go away to Stamford Bridge in the second game that you've played with each other. I don't think it's, I don't think it's crazy. Ross says, lost whatever little respect I had for Enzo, Palmer and Cucurella with their actions towards Noni, and on top of Caicedo trying to fake an injury to avoid the red card. Yeah, I did think they were a bit embarrassing. I did think Chelsea were a bit embarrassing. Look, have our players done some similar things in the past? Sure. But I mean, the Caicedo one, that's tragic. Like, rolling around like that when you know you've just committed probably a red card challenge, that is embarrassing. I thought even with Saliba, like, the way they tried to get Hincapié sent off for what was a fairly normal collision. Bob Sanchez, when Gyökeres went in and they collided, like, if you actually watch it back, there's not really that much contact, and Sanchez goes absolutely crazy. All of the pushing, like, how many times did their players just randomly barge one of ours for no reason? There was a lot of that sort of thing. That was a little bit. I mean, we had a bit too. Hincapié, when he tackled Pedro Neto, got up and screamed in his face. It was nice to see one of our players sort of giving it back to them, because again, I did think we were a little bit sort of soft on them. They treated that like a title contending London derby, and we treated it, in my opinion, like another game, and that did make a difference. Tony, thank you very, very much for the $5 super chat. That centre-back partnership reminds me of young Saliba and Gabby. Hincapié has that same thing as young Gabby, a little bit crazy and a mistake in him. I agree. And look, think about how long. I mean, with Saliba, it was not so much actually when he came back from France and slotted in with Gabby, but they still have mistakes in them. It takes time to develop a partnership. It takes time to figure out who's the sort of leader and the shot caller. I didn't think they did badly. Do we get to treat it in any other way? I was terrified of a red card. Yeah, I mean, I thought the way the thing was, we were getting yellow cards for, like, I thought the Zubamendi one was really harsh. I thought the Mosquera one was fair. I thought the Calafiori one was fair, because you're, like, in those positions where you sort of drag someone back, you're always going to get a booking. I thought the Hincapié one was harsh. And I even thought the Miles Lewis-Skelly one was a bit harsh. The reason being, Miles and Reece James went shoulder to shoulder. In the first half, Caicedo literally shoulder barged the back of Jurriën Timber, and Anthony Taylor didn't even give a foul. So to give that against Miles Lewis-Skelly and give him a booking, I did think was a little bit harsh. Too early, but what's your starting attack against Brentford? Might come back to that later today, depending on timing. Otherwise, we'll be live tomorrow with the preview for the Brentford game, once we've had Mikel Arteta's press conference and stuff as well. Anthony Taylor turned it from a London derby to a first-round Carabao Cup draw. I mean, Anthony Taylor, I just don't think he's great in big games, to be honest. That was the weird thing as well. I've seen Chelsea fans criticising Anthony Taylor for sending Caicedo off and being like, oh, Anthony Taylor's always against us. He initially gave the yellow card to Caicedo and had to be sent to the monitor to send him off. And I didn't really think he gave anything else against them. I don't really understand how they could complain about Anthony Taylor in that game. I thought that was a bit weird. But there we go. 250 people, 50 likes, like the stream. Yeah, if you could like the stream, if you've not done so already, it is free. It does help me. I'd appreciate that. And thank you, Nid, as well, for dropping the link to the podcast in the chat. So the way the podcast works, by the way, the full podcast, so hour and 20, hour and 30-minute podcast that we recorded today, that goes on to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get like audio podcasts. The whole thing goes there at 6 p.m. It's then broken down into YouTube videos that get put out through the rest of the week. So today's video will be the Arsenal-Chelsea reaction. Tomorrow we'll be talking about the managerial sort of sack race, Thomas Frank, that sort of thing. So that's how that works. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube, the Back Post Pod YouTube. And yeah, if you want to listen to the full thing, it is on Spotify and all of that good stuff. What do you think about the twins we have just signed? Thank you very, very much, Cohen, for segueing nicely into the next topic. So, Arsenal have signed teenage twins. Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal agree deal to sign 16-year-old Ecuadorian twins Edwin and Holger Quintero from Independiente del Valle. Agreement in place after the Quintero brothers travelled to London this week to join Arsenal. Deal valid from when they turn 18 in 2027. So they're 16 now. They turn 18 in August 2027. And that is when they will join Arsenal. So they will stay in Ecuador until then. James Ollie with ESPN, who was the one that broke the news originally, he said sources have told ESPN that Arsenal have been tracking the Quintero twins for well over a year, and the deal is viewed as something of a coup for the club's academy recruitment team. Sources say a key factor was the clear pathway to the first team. So that is very good. And as always with young talent, has Ben Mattinson put a tweet out? Is there a Ben Mattinson tweet? And, of course, the answer is yes. So back in August, actually, when we signed Hincapié, Ben Mattinson said, if we're bringing in Hincapié, bring some Ecuadorian ballers from Independiente del Valle in the future. He mentioned Ordonez, who's a centre-back who's now joined a similar sort of pre-agreement with Chelsea. And then he said Edwin and Holger Quintero. So he was already on it. And then he's given a bit of a breakdown into each of the two twins. So Edwin Quintero is a right winger, left-footed, and tends to play as a right wing or as a 10. So interestingly, two twins, one is left-footed, one is right-footed. Edwin is this left-footed one. He said Edwin Quintero is so skillful and constantly uses flair to fool defenders and make smart passes. He has the ability to run games and create something out of nothing. His quick feet and delayed touches deceive players, but he also has the vision to pick out runners. And then Holger Quintero, skillful attacking midfielder with 1v1 prowess to take on players and a winger-like slight build. But on the ball, he has excellent vision to see the whole game and spray passes. From wide areas, he has an excellent way of passing crosses. Holger Quintero is a decisive creator with a killer final ball. Now, interestingly, they are both sort of, again, attacking midfielder / right winger, you know, Waneri, Dauman. That, like, again, they sound like that type of player. Which is an interesting one, especially with Edwin being another left-footed player that can play that role. But, of course, they are only 16, so they will be coming through. Edwin sounds like an Ødegaard regen. I mean, listen, I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. But it's exciting, I think, to see Arsenal trying to get ahead with this. You know, Chelsea have become the masters of it. You know, they tied down Esteval very early on, Kendry Paez, the guy from Sporting, what's his name? Quenda. They've been flying with this sort of thing. So we're probably playing catch up, but sounds like we've landed a couple of them. And shout out to Ben Mattinson, because how he is ahead of the game always when it comes to this sort of thing, I have no idea. Like how he is called. In one tweet, he has mentioned 3 Ecuadorian players that at the time were all 15 years old. And genuinely, within a few months, one of them's gone to Chelsea and 2 of them gone to Arsenal. It's insane. It's insane. What are your thoughts on Arsenal's reinforcement chest of 100 million in January? I don't think it's true. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think if we do business in January, I'll be surprised. I don't think we're going to do any business in January, if I'm completely honest. We spent a huge amount in the summer. By the time we got to the final Hincapié deal, we were doing, we had to figure out a way of making that work within what we could spend. And we've got a huge squad. So, yeah, I would be surprised. But never rule it out. Never rule it out. We've got too many left footers. Train him to be ambidextrous. We do have a lot of left footed players. We do. Any sales in January? Well, that's the only way I could see it happening. Maybe if you sold the only way I see it happening is if you sell Jesus and another left winger and you maybe bring in Semenyo. Outside of that, I'd be very surprised. To be honest, I would be happy to wait until next summer and try and get Kenan Yildiz. If you said to me right now, Semenyo in January or Yildiz next summer, I'd wait for Yildiz. Especially if Juve don't get Champions League football. I will be there. That is where I would be. What is your starting 11 when everyone is fit? Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel Calafiori, Zubimendi, Rice, Erdegaard, Saka, Gyökeres, Eze. That would be my current one. JFTV Luca isn't going to like you anymore if you take Yildiz off him. I will rub it in his face if we take it off him. It will make me happy. Luca. What a man Luca is, by the way. Yildiz for sure. Love him. What a player. Yeah, he's unbelievable. He is unbelievable. Yeah, Ben White might be the next player to get sold, to be honest. Ben White is not playing much. If Ben White doesn't start tomorrow on Wednesday against Brentford, I could see him getting moved on and we go for another right back because he's not playing enough. Literally people demanding Nwaneri loan, but also want 100 million spent in January. Yeah, it's a bit nuts, right? It's a bit nuts. 2 billion quid right now or 1 quid that doubles every day? Immediate answer. 2 billion quid right now. 2 billion quid right now. What if I die in 2 weeks' time? At least for those 2 weeks, I'll have lived it up with my 2 billion. And Ndiaye over Yildiz? Not for me. Or did someone else say that? Yildiz all the way for me. Yildiz all the way. You silly sausage? No, I'm well aware that after however X amount of time, doubling the money would mean you'd had more than 2 billion. But I'll never need more than 2 billion. So if you can guarantee me that right now, I'm taking it. I don't need to take the risk. Just wait a year. But what's the point? I might die in that year. You could never need more than 2 billion quid. So just take the 2 billion. 2 billion quid is generational wealth. 2 billion quid is generational wealth. Yildiz the man. Yeah, I agree. Anyway, moving on to William Saliba. Obviously, this injury caught... I mean, that's the first time in a long time where a team sheet's come out and everyone's just like, what the hell? Because he was in training the whole way through and then he was on the team bus and he got off the team bus and he didn't look injured. So it was like, for him to then not be in the squad was crazy. I guess they did well to keep it under wraps. But it was very disappointing. Now, in terms of what he's actually like, Arteta said yesterday in training he was uncomfortable, so we need to explore a little bit more what happened. I don't think it's something major, but it was enough to not be involved in the game. We've not heard much else. AFC Camden on Twitter, who is a kind of in the know. He's not hand of Arsenal, but he gets bits of information. He said the club are not concerned about Saliba's issue, just chose not to risk him after he felt something. Hopefully all clear tomorrow and good to go on Wednesday/Saturday. So, I mean, I still probably wouldn't play him against Brentford. Even whatever it is, whether it's muscular or whatever. We are, again, he would probably have played through it in any other season if we didn't have Mosquera and Hincapié. Villa away, very difficult game. I would probably... Do you know what? The thing is, even if he wasn't injured, I'd maybe be looking at resting Saliba against Brentford midweek anyway. So probably just use that as the opportunity. And hopefully he's back for Villa on the weekend. But yeah, no idea what that was really. And the same with Trossard. Like, Trossard looked like it was a fairly not like he'd ripped a muscle, but like the sort of muscle injury where he'd be out for maybe a month. Doesn't sound like that's the case. Again, Arteta said yesterday, like, Trossard, they were hoping might have been available for yesterday, but it's not something major. So hopefully Trossard makes it back either, again, for Brentford or for Villa on Saturday. I did think, by the way, that went under the radar. I thought we missed Leandro Trossard yesterday. I did think we missed Trossard. I think Trossard and Calafiori's link-up is really good. Underrated. Probably been one of our best players this season, Trossard. So that was another player that we missed. The injury thing is now getting ridiculous. Don't know who to blame, but it can't just be bad luck. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. The only thing I can think is training. Like, maybe they're training too much. Maybe the training is too intense, more intense than it needs to be when you're playing twice a week at a high level. I don't know. I don't have the answer, but you're right. I don't like... There comes a point where it can't be coincidental. Now, the things like knee injuries, the injury to Madueke, the injury to Ødegaard, those sorts of ones, I'm like, you can't help that, right? That's part and parcel of playing football, and there will be times where you have a lot of those types of injuries and times where you don't. But muscular injuries, that is largely down to the way that you are managed physically, both in terms of how much you play and how much you train. So it's frustrating. Martinelli was really not good yesterday. Yesterday wasn't the sort of game that suited Martinelli, I don't think. I do think of all of the players, Martinelli is the one that for me is a finisher now. I think he is an off-the-bench finisher. We get back to and then lose another two. Yeah, it's been like that for like over a year, though. That's the concerning thing. It's been like that for over a year now. Will Jesus get minutes against Brentford and be resurrected for Christmas? Maybe. Jesus was on the bench. Look, I love to see him back. It was great to see him back on the bench. Yeah, he could definitely get minutes against Brentford. The thing that worries me about the Brentford game, and again, we'll talk about it more tomorrow, is I do worry that we're all just like, we got through this week. We got through Spurs and Bayern and Chelsea. And even yesterday, like, we did look really fatigued. And we're all like, Brentford in the week. Brentford at home. We can rotate. We can rest. It's going to be a tough game. Brentford have made very difficult opposition for most teams they've played against this season. They find a way of creating problems. I have no idea how he's done it, but Igor Thiago is second top scorer in the league by a distance. He's on 11 goals. I think the next closest is Welbeck on 7. And obviously he's behind Erling Haaland. Like, they have found ways of winning games and getting points and frustrating teams. So it's not going to be that easy. Like, we can't just rotate the whole 11. We can't. We should be very careful with Declan Rice. We're overwhelming him. Rodri fate could be inevitable. I don't disagree. And to be fair, I think Zubamendi, Rice are two of the positions where Arteta doesn't actually trust the depth that we've got. I don't think he trusts Norgard, and that's a problem because we do need to use Norgard. Isn't he injured now? Is Igor Thiago injured? Did he get injured? I don't know. I didn't know that. Wait, but he played right until the end of the game, didn't he? Did he not play right until the end of the game? Yeah, he scored in the 86th minute. Oh wait, but he did go off with an injury flag on FOTMob. He did go. Look, when did he go off? It didn't even mention it. But it didn't even mention the sub. But he did go off. Andrew said he got a knock. Well, we'll wait and see if that keeps him out of the Arsenal game. We'll wait and see. Someone said their away form hasn't been as good as their home form. So 1 at home, lost away. 1 at home, lost away. 1 away, but it was Grimsby. 1 at home, 1 away, lost at home, 1 at home, lost away, 1 away, but it was Carabao Cup, lost away. Yeah, you raise a good point. You actually raise a good point. Away from home. Wait, can I bring up the away table on here? Yeah, away. Away from home, Brentford are 17th. 1 win, 5 losses in 6 games. So, yeah. Yeah, look, maybe they eye up, because their game at the weekend is against Spurs as well. So maybe they leave some fuel in the tank for that Spurs game that they'll probably think is winnable. And it would be, for them, a massive one to be like, you know, Thomas Frank left Brentford to go to bigger Spurs. Brentford are currently ahead of Spurs. It would be funny if they then beat Spurs. Terrible away from home. Good to be back at the Emirates. It will be good to be back at the Emirates. I will be there. We will be there. Attackers back means we can build more of a proper second squad. I agree. But again, like, how many players do you rest? Because I do think Declan Rice needs a break. Against Brentford, maybe, do you go Zubamendi, Eze, Ødegaard? Do you try the Eze Ødegaard midfield again? Can you do that with Zubamendi at the base rather than Declan Rice at the base? Do you do it with Norgard at the base? I don't know. Do you ever see Ødegaard in the 8 and Eze in the 10? Well, we tried it once. We had Eze and Ødegaard in the same team. Was it against Forest or was it against West Ham? One of those 2 games, Forest or West Ham, Ødegaard got injured and had to go off, and that changed the whole thing. But we played Eze and Ødegaard in midfield for the opening, 20 minutes. It was West Ham. Wait, Ross said it was Forest. So I think it was West Ham. Ødegaard got injured in both of those games, but I think West Ham was the one where they both started in midfield. And it was interesting because it kind of wasn't working. But then I was like, you've got to give it time to work. You've got to give them time to settle in. Ødegaard was finding Gyökeres a lot. We looked quite poor against West Ham. Zubi changed that game. He did. Yeah, well, that was the thing. Ødegaard got injured. Zubamendi came on, and we did look better. But would we have looked better just building into the game anyway? That's difficult to know. Timber needs a break, not even after his ACL injury. I agree. And that's what I'm saying about Ben White. Like, we all know Timber needs more of a break, needs more rest, but Arteta isn't using Ben White anywhere near as much as he could be. Does that mean he's lost trust in Ben White? Maybe. Gyökeres needs Ødegaard. Gyökeres will thrive with Ødegaard, 100%. Ødegaard's been the only person that has routinely tried to find Gyökeres as much as possible. Eze looked so far off the mark yesterday. I think Arsenal fans, and if you speak to Palace fans, they'll agree, Arsenal fans are going to have to get used to the fact that Eze will drift in games. There will be games that don't suit Eze where he really struggles to get involved. You know, Ødegaard largely will always find a way to be involved in the game. He will take a lot of touches on the ball. He will dictate a lot of the play. He will drop deep to receive the ball. Eze will not do that. The flip side of that is that Eze will give you moments. Eze will break through games. They're 2 different players. But yeah, I agree. Against Chelsea, he struggled. White, Mosquera, Hincapié, Cali in defence. Yeah, I mean, that still should be good enough to beat Brentford, you would hope. Should Lewis Skelly be in midfield? If we're not trusting him at left back, then yeah, I think so. I think it might be worth trying at least Miles Lewis Skelly in midfield in the left 8. But Skelly doesn't look confident enough to be in midfield. But maybe that's what he needs. Maybe that's what he needs to look confident again. I'm not sure. It's difficult. Eze's not a high-touch player. Fans need to get used to that. Exactly. And the difficulty with that is that, like, there are games, like yesterday, like, he's not going to come. He's not going to drop deep to receive the ball and knock it around. Like, he's just not going to do that, and that's fine. He'll be in the position to break through games, but it's tough. When Ødegaard came on yesterday, he immediately started dropping deep to pick it up. Great to see. Yeah. But there are also games, there have been loads of games where Ødegaard drops deep to receive the ball and gets a lot of criticism because people are like, Why is Ødegaard dropping so deep? Like, we need him higher up the field to create opportunities. If you have both Ødegaard and Eze in the same team, in the same midfield, that's where I think we can benefit. Ødegaard can be free to drop deep and receive the ball and progress the ball. And then you're progressing it to Eze, who is further up the pitch in the positions that he wants to be in to impact the game. So I do think, we've seen it so far for like 18 minutes or whatever it was against West Ham. It will take time to develop it. And I think once it is developed, it could be very good. Glocker is Hattie on Wednesday. I hope so. Does Arteta trust Mosquera at right back? Maybe. We saw it briefly, right? Right at the start of the season, I think we saw Mosquera come on at right back. We've not really seen it since. But yeah, maybe he does. No one's talking about how much the Emirates has become a fortress. It's been a fortress for a while. I mean, the thing is, it's all like, it feels like it's a fortress anyway when you're not losing games. We've lost one game still this season. Like, we've still only lost one game against Liverpool. What? When was the Liverpool game now? Like 2.5 months ago? Nearly 3 months ago. September, October, November, December. Yeah, nearly 3 months ago was the last time we lost a game. So, feel like Zubi could easily play the 8 and Norgard in the 6. Possibly. Mosquera can probably put in a shift everywhere across the back line. I agree. What's the Saliba update? Arteta basically just said he was uncomfortable in training. We need to explore it a little bit more, but it's not something major. And then AFC Camden, who's like a little bit of an in the know, said that the club aren't concerned about it, and hopefully he'll be back this week. Emirates is a fortress, but we're cringe. North London forever is cringe. Cringe FC. Yeah, everything we do is cringe. By the way, imagine Arsenal players had behaved like Chelsea players yesterday. Imagine all those things the Chelsea players did. Imagine that was Arsenal players doing that. Oh my God. The internet would have lost its mind. Imagine Declan Rice did what Caicedo did. Imagine Zubimendi was behaving like Enzo. They'd have absolutely lost it. We need Saliba v Villa. Yeah, I agree. Man City have lost 5 games this season, UCL included. That's a big difference from us. It is a big difference from us. Yeah. We'd have played with 5 men. Facts. When's today's back post video getting posted? Literally within the next 20 minutes. It should be live by 6 p.m. So you should basically be able to go from this straight into the back post content, which is sensational. There's also going to be a bonus back post on Thursday. So after all of there's one midweek game on Thursday evening. I think it's United against West Ham. But we're going to do another podcast on Thursday, which will react to all of the midweek games as well. So, yeah, it is absolute content central. It is content central this week. Rice dropping DP yesterday highlighted his effectiveness in our attacking play, as well as his driving force when we struggled to break through opponents. Yeah, I've not really understood. A lot of Chelsea fans have been saying that Declan Rice was like anonymous yesterday, didn't do much. Well, anonymous Declan Rice put in a goal-saving tackle on Pedro Neto, and then not long later was gallivanting off up the other end of the pitch, played a 1-2 with Martinelli that we nearly scored from. Like, that epitomised Declan Rice to a T, to be honest with you. So, I don't know what just happened. The whole PC didn't crash, though. The whole PC didn't crash. It was just the page. Yeah, I thought Timber and Rice were 2 of our better players yesterday, and yet everyone's like, "Oh, Reece James ended the Timber debate, and Caicedo was better than Rice, even though he only played half an hour." And it was like, okay. Playing Saturday lunchtime kickoff after Wednesday night is ridiculous. It is. I don't disagree with that. Villa get an extra day to prepare as well, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Villa are playing tomorrow night instead. Wait, let me see. Are Villa playing tomorrow? Oh, no, they're not. No, Villa play on Wednesday as well, to be fair. In fairness, if anything, Villa have got it even worse than us. Is it me or is the camera shaking? Yeah, to be fair, I think I was just kneeing the desk. So us and Villa play at the same time on Wednesday, but we're at home. Villa have got to go away to Brighton. So, and that's a big game for them away at Brighton. That's what, 5th versus 6th? Or 4th versus 5th even? So that's a big game for them. So, yeah, it's annoying that we've got to play lunchtime on Saturday, but they haven't got any extra benefit. Chelsea fans and player comparisons. Never seen a fan base more obsessed with combined 11s. Facts. Declan Rice is the only £100 million player that's still underrated. I agree. Does the whole Back Post pod get cut up into YouTube videos? Yes. So the whole podcast goes on at 6 p.m. today. The entire podcast will be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of that sort of thing. It then gets clipped up. So you basically will be able to see the entire podcast. Not quite the entire podcast. Most of it in YouTube videos, but they get put out through the week. So today's video will be Arsenal-Chelsea reaction. Tomorrow's video will be Spurs losing, managerial sort of sacking race, Slot, Amorim, Thomas Frank. Wednesdays will be basically like the top 4 race, who's actually in the top 4 race, because it goes from 3rd down to about 14th. And then we'll have another new podcast on Thursday reacting to the Wednesday games. Anyway, it is time for the quiz. It's time for the quiz question. Get your fingers on your keyboards. The first person to get it right wins the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community. Your quiz question today is this. Mikel Merino scored once again yesterday, making it 28 goal contributions in 2025. But who did he score his first Arsenal goal against? Mikel Merino scored once again yesterday, but who did he score his first Arsenal goal against? We've had lots of correct answers straight away, but who was quickest? It was Gus. Liverpool is the correct answer. Nid was second. Carl was third. Stabrisback was fourth. And Kelly was fifth. A lot of you were putting Leicester. Leicester was not his first goal. It was the first goal that he scored for us as a striker, but it was not the first goal that he scored for the club. His first goal was that goal, the header, at home to Liverpool last October. So there you go. Taylor wants VAR for third place. I don't think you were, Taylor. Taylor. Tinker Taylor Soldier Spy. Taylor, you were 8th. Your internet isn't good enough. On my screen, Taylor, you were 8th. So there you go. And there you go. Ross Lawman, VAR, goal given. Gareth Faulkner's back in the building. Gareth, I hope you're doing well. It has been a while. Introduced my girlfriend to Road 96 the other day, and she's loving it. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. It can't be. It can't be true. There should have been a VAR the other day. Listen, tomatoes. That's such an unapplicable phrase to that. We can't be going to VAR checks for what happened the other day, though. I appreciate it, though. Merino scored, has the record tied with James Scholecroft. 71% of his goals are headers. What a player. That is impressive. But there you go. How's it going? Been listening to all the pods so far. Very good listening for traveling. I appreciate it, Gareth. Yeah, it's all well. It is all well. I hope you're enjoying Road 96 still. Anyway, look, that is going to be the end of the live stream. I appreciate you all for watching. Please do subscribe before you jump off. Like the video before you jump off. And there's more content for you this evening when the Back Post pod drops. So please do go and share the love on that. I do massively appreciate, by the way, all of you that get in the comments on the YouTube videos, on the Spotify and everything like that. It doesn't go unnoticed. You're absolute legends. And that's it. We will be back tomorrow. Hand of Arsenal. Breaking. Major breaking. People have just clicked off, but major breaking. Trossard, short term. Trossard short-term from hand of Arsenal. So that is very good news. I appreciate that, hand of Arsenal. Absolute legend. Got in right at the end there. Got in right at the end. You love to see it. We will be back tomorrow. We'll talk about that. It will be the Brentford preview tomorrow. Arteta will have done his press conference and all of that good stuff. Until then, have a fantastic Monday evening, and I will catch you tomorrow. Goodbye.